All right, let's do it, guys. Let's get to kind of like our featured article of the stream, when I'd like to talk about the top 10 common and rare cards from Rebellion that you might be sleeping on. Now, again, I'm not going to be talking about cards like the Moxian Rebel, the Soothsayer, or the Wailing Wraith, or any of those like rare summoners, or even like the common summoners. You know, I'm not going to talk about those guys. Those are in a known quantity. Everyone knows that those cards are good. Okay, but there's some cards that I feel like we might not be quite evaluating to their full potential. And especially since I've been like, ooh, I kind of really want to get these cards. And now I've got my own bids in to try and like get them up to a respectable level. So this is in no particular order except for the last one, which I think is like the number one sleeperish type rare card that I'm happy that I was able to bring up to the level where I wanted it to be. So without further ado, let's go and let's take a look here, okay? We'll hit up the market. I'm going to go to Rebellion. I said I'm going to go to Rebellion. We're going to choose the old Regulato. And we'll do commons and rares from all of these elements, okay? So I'd love to know... Oh, you've got a level 3 GF Mantaroth? That's insano-bots. That's insano-bot. Well, we know Lurking Puffer is good, okay? We know Lurking Puffer is good, Ime. So we're not... like I said, I'm not going to go and talk about like Lurking Puffers and stuff like that, because those are already known quantities of being good cards. I'm going to talk about some of the cards that probably aren't talked about that much, but I feel are worth getting up to a certain level at least. Like, we all know Goblano Soldier is great, same with Nimbleduke Scout and stuff like that. But what about cards like... Let's take a look at this guy first, all right? What about cards like Urdra Mystic? So this guy actually made my list for a few reasons. One, he's low level, right? Two, he actually gets Void. And three, he's got Lookout. So there's going to be some matches when you're just like, okay, either it's magic only or something like that, and you're using Immortalis, and you've got your Slip Spawn or something. And when you pop this guy next to Slip Spawn, if it's like a sneak or snipe attack or something like that, like he's going to automatically reduce the damage even further. So if you end up getting something like Sniper Opportunity with magic, and you've got Slip Spawn, then this guy here looks out on the Slip Spawn, you're already reducing it. He could theoretically take like 0 damage because of this, right? The fact that he's also 4 mana, and he's got a nice little butt on him and stuff like that, means that you can pop him into what's called Little League or something like that, whatever the one is that's 4 mana or less. And he actually acts as a really good tank for you in those magic matches that you might be having. And again, if it's like Sneak or Snipe or something like that, the Lookout's actually really, really good. I've actually used this guy he actually works really good combined with Slip Spawn. So he's one of the guys that I've kind of been like, you know what? I wanted to get him up to, at least in my opinion, I wanted to get him up to 6-star for that 5 hit points. Because he's a meat wall. He's not there to do lots of damage. He's there as a damage mitigation tool. And again, the fact that he's got the Void when it's going to be primarily a magic matchup, and he's actually got a decent amount of hit points, he's actually kind of useful, and he has paid out for me in quite a few matches. So, I mean, I recommend getting him up to a minimum of 5-star for Void, but if you can get him up to 6-star, I think it's worth that extra point of health. Like, I think that extra point of health is worth it because, again, this guy's more like utility and less doing damage. And I have had someone play a Cane on me with the Lookout, which isn't the worst. Even sneaking and stuff like that in an all sneak match, when you can go ahead and you can use the Mystic, he works out good. Like, you can just put him in second last position, and whoever gets sneaked, because don't forget, it's also sneak and snipe and opportunity. It doesn't just have to be like ambush, right? He actually does a good job as a Lookout creature. So the Mystic is one of those guys that I've been kind of looking at. And again, I feel like if you get him to 5 or 6-star, I've got him to 6-star now, right? I bought enough to get him to 6-star. Yep, he's only 1350. He's not like the worst, you know? I got him up to 6-star. I'm happy I did. I feel like this guy's going to be one of those little key cards that lets me win games. And I'm going to just take a quick moment here and I'm going to complain a second. When I take a look at my cards, and I've got this 6-star, right, at 100, and I find that he is perfectly serviceable right here at 6-star. I mean, look, he's got the 5 mana, same as he has a 10-star. You know, he's only doing the 1 damage. Sure, he's not as fast, and His armor might not be as great, but the problem with right now that I see the penalty for cards that are under-leveled in a higher league really hurts me, because I don't want to invest in another 300 BCX of Eurojack Mystic just to not take a penalty if I were to go into Champ League, right? Like, that right there is going to be times 14, x 0.14 equals, that's another $42 for a minimal amount of extra benefit, in my opinion, like a minimal amount of extra benefit just to not get penalties. So I'm really hoping that when they work on the new player experience, like they said, that they're going to fix that and just eliminate the penalty for having low-leveled cards in a higher-level league. Because I would move up to Champ if I could still just jam my 6-star Mystic without taking a, 5 per league? Without taking like a 25 or, without taking a 20% penalty for having used them. I think that's the way it works, right, guys? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 5% per level that you're under-leveled. Like, I'm not going to pay $42 to not take a 20%er. I'm already taking a 10% hit whenever I use them, even in Diamond, right? And I don't even think that the extra 120, so would that be 120 times 13? I don't think the extra $15 is worth it to get him from 1425 to 1535. Like, I just don't think that's worth it. I think his main stat is his butt, and once his butt is maxed out, no real benefit. And again, that's hurting me for moving up to Champ, where I think that, you know, I put almost $3,000 into Rebellion, and I still buy my 5 packs a week to open with you guys. I don't like that rule. We've now got no bots in Modern, you know. We've got SPS and ETIF staked. I think enough is enough. Like, let me move up and use the cards that I have at this point. Pardon me. Whew. At least now it's a productive cough. I went like a 2-week span when my cough was like a dry cough, you know? It wasn't even doing it. It was just coughing, and you get a headache from coughing so much. But now at least I feel like it's bringing stuff up again. I'm in phase like 3 or 4 of the you quit smoking, get that stuff out of you phase, you know? But I really don't like this. I complain about it quite a bit now, because it hurts me as a player to have spent $3K and not even be able to play in the league that I want. In fact, still take a 10% penalty, you know, by not playing Diamond, by playing him in Diamond. So I'm not a big fan of that, but it is what it is. Hey, Amanda. All right. So let's get back over here to the market. And what do I have here? Why is it doing that? Okay, Earth. All right. Next guy that I think might actually be a valuable addition to your team, and he's actually gone up a whole penny in price, which is actually over 10% since the last time I bought him. I was buying this guy at 6 cents. Chaos Orc. Now you're probably thinking, oh, why are you talking about Chaos Orc? Now, his stats on level 1, he looks totally underwhelming, doesn't he? You know, and I got to be honest with you guys. I'm not talking about like bronze level play. I'm probably not talking about silver level play. I am talking about like some of the higher leagues when they can actually get abilities that make it worthwhile, okay? But when we look at this guy's stats, at 7-star, do I have him at 7-star? What do I got? I got 63 stats. So I got enough to bring out to 5-star. You know what? I'll just do that right now while I got him here. 1, 2, 3. I think I've got bids in on him to get him up to where I want him to be. But I just want to show you this nice little stat line that he's got over here, okay? There we go. I want to get him up to 7-star. He's totally serviceable at least 5-star, okay? So at least where I just kind of leveled him up, he's totally serviceable. He's got Trample. Now, Trample's all good. Pierce is all good. But when you combine the two of them, you get kind of like a little wrecking ball. So if you got some dude who's just sitting there, he's like, oh, I've got 1 armor left or something like that, and I got 2 hit points. This guy will not only crush through the armor and kill him, he'll move on to the next guy. And when you start getting a decent attack on him, like 4, or maybe you're using Tarsa or something like that, and now his attack is 5, or maybe you got Tusk the Wild out, and now his attack is 6, or you've got Nimble Duke Scout out, and now his attack is 7. When you've got a 7 damage piercing card with Trample, this guy is going to kill things, and he's going to move on to the next guy, and he's going to kill them too. And his speed isn't bad when you get him up here. Look, he's got 4 speed. So, I mean, sure, he's a non-bow in a lot of ways with Yasik, right? Because, I mean, he's already got the piercing, right? It'll just give him a little bit of extra speed. But if you were to use him with Tarsa or something like that, or you were to just, like, have other ways, like use him with Yasik and then buff his attack a few times, this guy's, like, he's good. The fact that he's got the pierce plus the trample is what really goes ahead and makes him shine, in my opinion. I think that I'm going to get some use out of him in those, like, lower mana matches when you're like, ooh, you know what? I can't go in there with my Mantaroth or anything like that. I need a solid tank, and he's solid. He's got, like, he's got 3/6. Like, he's not the worst. He's solid, and he's actually going to do something, maybe even kill 2 guys a turn, depending on how big you buffed them. Or maybe it's one of those matches when it's like, Sneak probably wouldn't be as good for him because of the trample, but maybe it's an opportunity match. And again, you're using Tusk the Wild and stuff like that in here, and he's got 5 attack. And now you're getting an opportunity attack in there, and you're crushing some dude in the middle, piercing through them and trampling onto the guy behind him. I think that Chaos Orc is not the worst, and some people might be sleeping on our good buddy, the Chaos Orc over here. But again, he hits the same problem, in my opinion, here. Like, once you got him up to, like, this 4th attack at 150, I don't really know if I want to invest another 250 BCX into him. Well, I mean, he's fine because he's a tank, but all it really does is it gets him 2 extra hit points. That's it. Like, that's literally, he gets 1 armor and 2 hit points for, let's see, so an extra 180, and he's at 8 cents. So 180 x 0.08 equals, yeah, I don't know if he's worth $15 to go all the way with him, you know, for that extra 1 extra armor and 2 extra HP. But he's definitely, I can see some uses for this guy because of the combination of Pierce and Trample. If it wasn't Pierce, no good. But with the Pierce and with all the buffs that exist these days on cards like this, I think that he'll see some play. Especially like in the rule sets where it's really restrictive, like a melee-only opportunity rule set. I mean, you're going to want guys who Pierce and Trample with that so you can hit right in the middle and then keep on going, you know? All right. So that's my number 2. What do you guys think about that guy? Even 6% wins better than losing if that's the trade. Oh, yeah. All right. The coffee's cold. The coffee's cold. Okay. Here's one that's near and dear to my heart. All right. I'm working on getting her up as well. Sultry Barmaid. All right. For only 5 CC, when you get him up here, like, I want to get him to 8-star, but even if you've got him as a lowly 3-star, the fact that you ambush and stun, amazing. So that means that you have the opportunity. I'm going to use Mantaroth a lot because, I mean, Mantaroth is Mantaroth, right? If you got a front rank Mantaroth and you're like, ambush, hit Mantaroth, Mantaroth stunned, that's pretty game breaking, you know? And her speed isn't actually bad at 3 as well. So there's the chance that you could hit, you could stun, you could hit a second time before anything else. I'm trying to get her up to 220 because I really want that 3rd damage. And I think that that's where the speed is at 4 as a max. And again, this is another one of those cards when it's like, what do you get for the extra 180 BCX? 2 hit points. That's it. You get 2 hit points. So it's like, again, for sale, we look at 180 times 11, right? So 180 x 0.11. I'm going to drill this one home to you guys, what I hate it. Another extra $20 for 2 hit points? I don't know. But when you take a look at her, the ability to stun with an ambush and get 3 attack on a reasonable, like, casting cost for only 5, I think that's pretty hot. Especially if it's like, imagine if it's a no armor match on top of that, and then you're just like, boof, take 3, no armor, you're stunned, I smoke ya, what up, you know? And as a fringe bonefit, yeah, you know what I'm looking at. You know it. You know, it's covered a little bit by these mugs, but hey, look at that face, right? Look her right in the eyes, stare her right in the eyes. You know what I'm talking about. So I like the Sultry Barmaid. She's made the list, as Jericho would say. She's made the list. Who do I got next? Whoops. What is this guy? All right. What do you guys think of the Sultry Barmaid? You guys agree that Sultry Barmaid is a good one? You just made the list. You got it, Eternal Paw. All right. So Sultry Barmaid made the list. I check, make sure my kids aren't creeping around down here. Okay. Here's another one. Let's go to Death. And we've got the Dag and Dark Hunter. All right. So the Dag and Dark Hunter is one of those cards that's kind of, in my opinion, a niche utility card. So when it's a no melee kind of matchup, right? And now you're sitting there and you're like, okay, Dag and Dark Hunter, it's a no melee matchup. Why is it good? Well, actually it gets silence, which is pretty awesome, you know? Whenever you can get cards with silence, especially if you like expect a lot of magic, and now you're like, hey, it's Thaddeus Brood. Hey, it's Dag and Dark Hunter. Hey, I've got the Weirding Warrior to take away 2 of your armor on top of that, and you're using a card that, don't forget, in that rule set, there's very few cards that end up with sneak, right? There's like Izza, there's that new blue mythic that has the 2 attacks and is worth like $6 each for some reason, but there's very few cards that have sneak. So a lot of people might protect their best guys at the very, very end. Like, they might shove their Weirding Warrior in the very, very last rank in order to be like, haha, you're not going to be able to take me out because of the fact that I'm hidden back here and there aren't a lot of ranged attackers. So not only does this guy go ahead and pull off this sneak and maybe take them out in that rule set, but on top of that, the silence is going to be so useful, especially when you combine it with Thaddeus Brood. Now you've got a -2 to silence. Like, it gets pretty phenomenal. Then you can go ahead and you can also have, like, don't forget, Death is like the debuff kings, right? You can also play with Queen of Crows in the front. Now you've got -1 to their ranged, and you've got -2 to their magic. Like, what do they have left at that point? You know, they're starting to get to the fact, like, everything just deals 1 damage, you know? So, I mean, that's not what I want to do. So, I mean, I'm starting to come around to the Dag and Dark Hunter. I think that from a stat perspective, you want to have her at minimum 4-star to get that silence. I mean, I'd love to have him at right up here at the at 4 damage. That's kind of like a luxury, though. I feel like the minimum is 4-star. What do I have? I got a 4-star right now. But again, if I were to even play this guy right now in Diamond, I would take a 10% hit to my earnings, I believe. Let me double check again here. I want to make sure that I got it right. But I mean, that's just playing Diamond, right? Even Gold, I think you'd take it. No, Gold, I don't think you'd take a hit. Details on the league, Diamond. Yeah, 6. So, I mean, I'd take a 20% hit just for using it at what I consider to be, you know, a fully useful card, right? Like I said, I'm going to drill that over and over. I'm going to talk about that penalty that I hate so much. That's what I think about it. It's preventing me, without paying thousands and thousands of extra dollars, from even being able to use the commons. And ironically, the legendaries end up being like the cheapest cards to complete because you don't need 400 of them, right? And you don't need 115 of them. You only need to get like 11 max. Sometimes you only need to get 6 of them to play in Diamond. At least you only really need 6, you know. But for these guys, you're needing like what, 85 or something. It's cray. But there you go, the Dag and Dark Hunter. Let me know what you guys think about it, right? Birds and bees falling asleep. It's not you, it's me. Yep. You don't know about the Sultry Barmaid. You like weapons train out, you keep your attack. When will we keep armor added the whole time? I guess armor's been buffed with armor attack now. So, oh, Nilara Genic. Okay, don't get me started on Nilara Genic. This is not really what I was going to talk about, but Nilara Genic, if you guys don't have like a Nilara Genic, you're sleeping. Nilara Genic is so good, even right here at 3-star. I mean, mine's up to the point when I get stun as well. But I mean, silence and void, and you don't have access to Immortalis. Like, hello, Nilara Genic here. I just want to like shut down your entire team by putting you front rank, or even if it's like, okay, in the front you've got a Jin O'Shaughnessy, and behind the Jin O'Shaughnessy you got a Nilara Genic. Like, suddenly you're just like, I got 2 void characters, I got some silence and everything like that, and she's got a nice ball. He? Whatever this thing is, let me see if I can look at it. I'm assuming he's got like, you know, a nice fat butt on him too. So Nilara Genic, yeah, I mean, I've got good things to say about Nilara Genic, and here's my Mantaroth, by the way. remember when we were doing that pre-release, the Rebellion reveal event, and they had some streamers on to do that tournament, the tournament that I won, you know? And I said to everyone on stream, I was like, guys, you got to get your Mantaroths right now, and you got to go and you got to get your Bardon Smiths, like, right now, pronto, chop, chop. If you don't get anything else, get your Mantaroths, get your Smiths. And people were kind of like, oh, I don't know. You don't know how many go on the market, blah, blah, blah. Well, I got mine for 23, 23, 25, 30, 35. And now they're 48, 50. They were even hit like 55 for a while here. And don't even get me started on the Bardon Smith. Let's pop them over here. Don't even get me started on Bardon Smith over here, who I was buying at like $150 or $160, and now he's 438. And this card is like doom. This card is like the bomb. I weapons train him all day long. So listen to your guys' size sometimes. I mean, not financial advice. You could have lost it all, but I mean, I knew these guys were going to be hot, and I knew there was only going to be a limited quantity of them, and that dream came true. All right. Oh no, you slept on it, birds and bees. No! Why? Why, cruel world? Why? There's still hope, I guess. There's still hope. I don't know. There's still hope. All right, let's get back to our regular scheduled show here. Oh, not battle, not battle. Back to the market. All right. Okay, here's a controversial one, but one that I found enough value in that I wanted to play with it and get it up there. And that is the Sea Dog of 8. And you probably think to yourself, Sea Dog of 8, Sai, what are you talking about here right now? But when you take a look at his stat line, once you get him up to 4-star, he's actually not that bad. Look, he gets heal, and with 9 hit points, that means he's healing 3 a turn. He's got 3 attack, and he's got the Corrosive Ward. So the Corrosive Ward is actually good. If his speed is slow enough, and he gets hit before hitting back, he'll burn their shield, and that's almost like an extra attack out of him, right? Because if you break his shield, if they got 2 armor, they hit you first, you melt their 2 armor, and then you get to attack, and their armor does nothing, you know? So that's almost the equivalent of hitting for 5 if you attack second, you know? And then don't get me even started on like their Murdali Guardian no longer being able to heal the armor or anything like that. The only thing this doesn't work on, of course, is Bardon Smith, because Bardon Smith is immune. And that means he's also immune to Corrosive Ward, which thematically doesn't make that much sense, but it is what it is. And I also want to draw some attention up over here. I've got mine to 7 because I want him to have 4 attack. I mean, I do want him to be as competitive as possible. But when we go back and we look at market over here, and we look at Chaos Legion, and we look at the Summoners, and we look at where is he? Oh, I've only got those guys selected. Okay, and again, this is like an advanced play. All right, I know that not everyone's gonna have them. This guy here, you look at Lux Vega, +1 health. Okay, and then we'll go back here. That's just an important consideration. So +1 health if you're using Lux Vega, or if they're using Lux Vega as well, right? And his hit points are 11. That +1 health brings him up to that sweet spot 12th hit point when you reheal a 3rd, which now he heals 4 hit points when you use him with Lux Vega. Or if you've even got Murdali Guardian, right? Murdali Guardian has Strengthen, gets him to 12 hit points as well. So one Strengthen card with Sea Dog of 8, he's actually healing 4 hit points a turn. And with Murdali Guardian in the front, giving him his armor back and everything like that, he's healing for 4, and then Murdali's healing him for 4. Like, he's pretty tanky. And for 7, having 4 attack, I don't think that's half bad. But again, we're talking here at the 7-star. He's still totally fine at 4-star, but I'd really like to see him at least 6-star to get him that 11 butt right there with the heal, so you can pump him up with Strengthen. And then he's regaining, like I said, 4 hit points a turn. That's substantial in my mind. Sea Dog of 8, yeah. What do you guys think of the Sea Dog of 8? Yeah, you're just budgeting. Yep, I feel you, man. Like I said, I was willing to actually put in another $100 into the game to get those Mantaroth that I needed. Actually, did I have to put in extra? I think I had to buy like at least $50 worth of extra, and I was even burning SPS to buy that Mantaroth as well. Like live on air, I was unstaking DEC from land live on air to buy my Mantaroths and my Grimbardon Smiths. I felt like they were that important, and I win a lot of games because of my Mantaroth and my Grimbardon Smith. So I'm happy that I did it. It's probably translated to like $100 worth of wins at this point in time, because you play them, you win. That's they're really good cards. All right, let's get the common and rares back. So that was the Sea Dog of 8. Let's see if my thing is talking at all. Yeah, good. Regaining it. Okay. Let's do the next one on the list. Where are we now? Earth. And the Blackmore Nymph. So at first I was like, oh, Blackmore Nymph, why do people like you so much and everything like that? But it's kind of like this trade-off over here. Once it starts to get things like Snare, you're able to capture those annoying like Void Dragons and cards like that they're going to put in front of you, right? So on top of that, there aren't that many cards that can deal 2 damage for 3 in Magic. And she actually ends up like a good little stopgap in those Magic matches to like if it's a low mana poison match or something like that because of her immunity. 2 damage for 3 when there's poison around isn't that bad, especially her having 6 hit points at that point. Like, I feel like this is actually just like the cost to what you get seems really good on her in certain rule sets, especially like I said, that poison rule set when you can actually use her and you know she takes no damage. Like, she seems really decent, and she's really good against cards like Pelacor Bandit as well, right? You know that one of the new plays that I see people do a lot is they double murder Pelacor Bandit in an Earthquake match. This will at least go and ensnare the Pelacor Bandit to make it take the Earthquake damage again in those kind of matches. And I know she'll take Earthquake damage too, but I mean, we're talking theoretical. She's kind of a throwaway at 3 mana. But if you can get her up to 60 to have her dealing 2 damage, I think that she's actually a really good card. And like I said, especially on those poison rule sets when you're just like, I need survivability, and that's what you're looking for. And a 6 butt immunity character, pretty decent for the casting cost. And again, it's because she costs 3, right? There's another card on the list that's all about the casting cost and what value you get for it. But oftentimes you'll end up with like 20 mana match. What am I going to do? You know, what am I going to do with 20 mana? And even if you end up using her along with Obsidian, now you've got a 3 mana that deals 3 and has a 6 butt on her. You know, that's really good value for a 3 drop, right? The only one that's probably better is the Jin Bilka, but that's a legendary, right? And Jin Bilka's only got like 2 hit points basically, or 3 hit points. She's got double the hit points. Like, I like her a lot. I'm trying to get her up to 60. Let's see where I've made it to so far. 31, but I'm pretty sure I've got some bids in for her. I have bids in for her. I don't have bids in for her right now. I think I'm hoping that her price comes down a little bit because I don't want to pay the 53 cents each, but I could have bought her cheaper. And I waited, and now I'm paying the price. So I'm just having to make do with this crappy 4-star that costs me 10% when I choose to use her right now. Like, I'm going to bring that up again. Costs me 10% just to use the Blackmore Nymph right now, right? That kind of sucks. All right. So it's Blackmore Nymph. What do we got next? All right. What do you guys think about her? Stopgap and low mana value for only 3 with snare and immunity. It is. Yep, you got it. And that's part of the value there with that girl, right? Is just like how much is the mana to attack and hit point difference, you know? That's one of the things when I play Magic the Gathering, we used to do things like, okay, add attack value plus armor class plus hit points plus casting cost, and what does that number become and what do those numbers become in relation to casting cost, right? So for 3 mana, when you're looking at 2 plus 6, you know, you're looking at 8 value between the attack and the hit points for 6, plus it's got some extra abilities. It's a good card. It's a good card. All right, let's go to the next one here. I don't want to run out of time for some challenges, but my neck is starting to hurt and that cough is starting to get to me. All right. Here's one that I've always had a soft spot for. And then whenever I feel like I'm going to be able to use it, it's always in a no neutral match, right? Which really sucks. So I actually had a melee only Thorns matchup earlier today. I was like, now's my moment. I'm going to use Bardon Fighter. And then it turns out that it's melee only Thorns, but no neutrals allowed. And I was like, the exact time when I wanted to use her, right? Because for melee only with Thorns, this is like a decent one, especially if it's like common and rare only, right? So again, a lot of these guys are situational and niche, but she's got shield, she's got the corrosive ward, and she's got reflection shield, which turns out really, really good because it's also anti-thorns. Sure, it's anti-blast, but you're probably not going to have her in like second position at that point, right? Unless we talk about my number one card. But the fact that she's actually got the shield and she's got the corrosive ward really makes her good for those instances, I guess, a blast if you can get her to work right, but also for thorns and having her in the front rank. So shield and the corrosive ward, and again, she's not fast, but she's not slow. She never gets beyond 3 speed. So hopefully she's getting hit first. And same principle we talked about. Corrosive ward takes off 2 of their armor, and then she hits, and it's like she's hitting for 5 because she also took away some of their armor, right? And especially with Mantaroth, think about it. Mantaroth hits her twice. Now Mantaroth is corrosive warded, never gets that second attack back again. Even though Mantaroth has repair, his armor is completely gone. He can't even repair himself, and she only took half damage from it. You know, and again, if it is one of those Thorns matches, he not only lost his armor, I don't know the order of operation for this. Would he lose his armor and then take Thorns damage? Or would he take Thorns and then lose the armor, which makes it a little less effective? But depending on the order of operation, it can be actually even better. Because if he hits her, loses the armor, then takes Thorns damage, he might not have the actual armor there to prevent the Thorns damage itself, right? So you start to get some cool interactions like that. The thing that hurts her is that 9. That 9, like, I wish I was an 8, right? But I've got her up to 100 for now. And again, I just don't see the value. Like, I'd love to get her up to 300, but again, I don't see the value in paying 15 cents times, what is it? 300 x 0.15 equals. I don't see the value in an extra $45 to get her beyond over here when she's got the reflection shield, right? I don't know about $45 for these extra benefits, or even like maybe it's like only $30 for these benefits here. Because if I was going to pay more, I'd either want to go all the way to having the 4 attack, but I mean, that's, again, 45 buckaroonies. And now it makes me not want to use her because I take a 10% penalty when I play in Diamond, which really sucks, man. It really sucks. All right, so Bardon. What do you guys think about Bardon? Am I crazy with that one? Or is that a good one? Okay. Here is a good one for us. Seems we're running into a lot from this particular Splinter. Maybe the Splinter is just misunderstood. Flame Mephit. Now, the thing with Flame Mephit, again, we're talking about value to mana cost, okay? So Flame Mephit starts off flying, that's all well and dandy. She's not going to get instantly destroyed by Earthquake or anything like that, okay? So that's fine. But she really starts to shine when you get her up here, okay? Once you get her up to being 5-star, not only is she a 2 mana, 2 ranged, which is good, right? Whenever you're getting 2 attack out of a 2 mana, I feel like that's like decent on its own. But don't forget, flying gives a 25% miss chance all on its own. All right. So just the fact that she flies, you got a 25% miss chance. And then if you miss, backfire. So now you've got a 1 in 4 chance, assuming they're not a flying creature attacking her. Now you got a 1 in 4 chance of not only does she not take damage, not only is she doing 2 for 2, but it's triggering the backfire. And her speed isn't bad. I want to get her up to 7-star for that extra speed. Okay, that's my goal, is to get her up to 85. I think that I do have her over here. Pardon me. Oh, man. It's a productive cough. It's a productive cough. All right, so I'm starting slow. I'm just trying to get her up to, what, 40 or 60? I'm trying to get her up to 40 to start with right now. Because, again, I have to be careful where I allocate my funds, right? But getting her up to 85 with that 4 speed, and now let's just say you're using Yasik in there, okay? Now she's got a 6 speed. That's actually substantial for activating the backfire on its own. And you combine that with flying, pretty good for a 2-drop, right? This is almost, I'm not going to say it's almost as good, but I mean, it's decent in the same way that this guy's decent. Chaos Legion, we're going to go to Rare, and we're going to go to Dragon. Like, not as good. Don't worry, I'm not saying she's as good as Naga Assassin, right? I'm not going that far. But, I mean, when you start looking at Naga Assassin with its backfire, it's obviously got a lot more speed and everything like that. But there's nothing saying that you can't be running Dragon, using quicks, giving them -1 speed, having Naga Assassin in there, giving your guys +1 speed, and then you got the Flame Mephit, who's now got a 6 speed, or maybe, what would it be? It would actually be 4. They're losing 1, so let's call that +1 into 5. You're gaining 1, let's call it 6, right? Now you've got like your 6 speed double backfire guys, right? You got Naga Assassin, plus you've got Flame Mephit. And again, we're talking about those 2 mana drops. They can squeeze into those like 20 mana matches, and you're just like, stopgap, here's Flame Mephit, 1 in 4 chance of you just straight up getting backfired on top of her dealing 2. So I like the Flame Mephit. Making a great case to buy packs? Yeah, buddy. Well, like I said, I'm actually recording this part. I'm actually going to release this as a separate video on my YouTube. So if you guys wanted to pick this up again, or you missed some parts of the show, you can go ahead and you can rewatch this. But a lot of these cards they've built with certain niche purposes in mind, and it's about recognizing that purpose and then being able to kind of like, you know, capitalize on it when the moment arrives, right? It's not going to be good in every matchup, but it's going to be really good in the matchups where it matters. Like I said, Flame Mephit in an Earthquake match, like, that's value town as far as I'm concerned. All right, we got one more to go before my #1 pick of the rares that are kind of, or commons and rares that are kind of sleepery, that I think some people might not know how good the value is on them. Here's Torch Miradon. All right, second last one of these cards that we're going to talk about here. So when you're looking at Torch Miradon, like, already we all know that Yasik is really good, right, for giving the bonuses to speed, and that sometimes just having cards that have close range is just like what you need to win, right? This guy pushes, in my opinion, he kind of pushes fire like over the top. Because now you've got, what's his name, like Molten Golem or something like that. It's got close range. You got Lava Launcher. It's got close range. You've got the Gargoyle Devil. It's got close range. You got Torch Miradon. It's got close range. Like, you start building up this huge, just from the perspective of close range, you start building up this huge repertoire of close range creatures, so you're never getting the penalty for being in the front rank, you know? So Fire does that really, really well. That's one of Fire's, like, specialties, is what I'll say. And not only that, but you got a high speed on this guy. You got a speed of 5 when you bring him up to where I'd say you want him, which is at 6-star. And that also gives him Shatter. So if you were to go and you were to put this guy, let's even say in the front rank, because he's got flank, odds are high that he's going to be one of the first guys attacking, especially if you're using Yasik. And he's going to hit, he's going to break the armor of the guy that's in the front rank, allowing, let's just say again, your Mantaroth, who's now in the back rank, or I should say in the rank behind Torch Miradon, to get in there and hit when they don't even have any armor anymore, right? He's got a pretty good butt on him too for 2-9. Like, that's not terrible. I wish the 8 was a little bit lower. I mean, that is substantial for only 2 attack. And sure, you could get him to 3, but I mean, again, it's 35 cents for like the limited benefit that you get. It's basically he's good because he's a tank, right? But I mean, that's what? That's 55 to give him +1 attack, +1 armor. Let's just see. So 55 times 0.32. So 55x 0.32 equals $17. Not the worst. So for an extra $17, I mean, you could get him to have that 3rd attack and everything like that, and an extra hit point, which might not be too bad, actually. I mean, $15, I think might not be the worst play here on that. But still, the fact that he has flank just enables things like a Mantaroth in 2nd rank, or even would enable things like, ooh, imagine if you were playing with common in rare and you're using Fire, And you put Torch Miradon in front, and guess who we put in the second rank? Chaos Orc. Ooh, because now you got Chaos Orc in the second rank, getting in there with his like 4, maybe 5 attack or something like that. Not having to worry about him getting broken down too quick because of the Miradon. Miradon's attacking first because it's got the greater speed, breaking the armor for Chaos Orc to get through and actually trample over and deal more damage. Like, that's a good little combo, I think, when you're talking common and rare. It activates a lot of cool plays like that. So I like the Miradon, and I didn't even think about using Chaos Orc in like common rare stuff. But these are the kind of things that come together when you're thinking a little bit outside the box and when you're looking at these cards that are like kind of a little bit more niche. And where can I play them? But again, the thing that's going to hold that back is, look, I've only got a 5-star. I need to get them all the way up to 8. That's 60. What's 220 minus 60? 220 minus 60 equals 160 times 0.08 x 0.08 equals another $12 just to get him into that range when I don't take penalties. And for limited benefit, in my opinion, right? I want him at 7, though. I want that 4 attack. But there you go. So, what's his name? The Torch Miradon, I think he's actually pretty decent. Again, because he's going to break armor first because of that fast speed. War Pegasus will select it for shatter sometimes. Yep, I guess it would. I guess it would. It's true. But again, like, War Pegasus is another great card. I mean, like, we're comparing good cards to good cards at this point in time, you know? And I mean, that's what you want. You want to find the next War Pegasus, you know, before other people find the next War Pegasus. So you can start using the new War Pegasus against them first, and you can kind of beat the meta or become the meta, right? And that's why, like I say, a lot of these little guys here that we're talking about are underused. But again, I don't know if they're underused because people don't have them leveled up enough to be able to not get the penalties at the level that I'm playing at. Like, you guys who might play Silver and stuff might be seeing these cards a lot more than I do playing Diamond. Because again, as a Diamond player, like, let me just show you this. Here's the most disappointing thing, okay? Like, as a Diamond player, these are the cards that I own from Rebellion. As a Diamond player, like, look at this. I'm sitting here with, like, not even able to make 3 stars out of my Mythics for the most part without going to buy tons of packs. And I bought a lot of these cards to get them up to 3-star and found a good deal on Firestorm. But, like, I'll take penalties. I'll take penalties. I'll take penalties. Penalties. Like, 10% penalties to even use these guys at this point. Like, I opened, like, 6, probably 700 plus packs. And I've only got like 8 BCX of Redworm Dragon, right? So, I mean, I'd love to get 2 more and get them up to 10. But even then, that's still a 10% penalty for me to play in Diamond. You know, this is, like, I really hope they fix this for the new player experience. Because and especially even for the old players, because people are always talking about, hey, you're smurfing me, man, and stuff like that. Like, why don't you move up? You got this great collection. Why aren't you moving up? Why aren't you moving up? Well, I can't move up because I'm going to take 10% penalties with multiple cards at a time. And I dread what's going to happen when Chaos Legion rotates. And now you've got Rebellion, which obviously there are no pack discounts and it's hard to max things and everything's expensive. And whatever the new set is, and it's going to be expensive to level and everything like that as well. And you're probably not going to get the same kind of value transfer. Like, there was some decent value transfer when you went from Untamed into Rebellion. Because the Untamed cards were worth a lot. You could sell those Untamed cards. You could use that to partially fund your Rebellion. I put in like another $1,000 worth of fiat to be able to buy the Rebellion, but the other half of it was pretty much paid for using Untamed cards that I sold because I'm a Modern player, you know? But I don't think that we're going to see the same thing when the next set comes out and Chaos Legion rotates, because Chaos Legion doesn't have the value that Untamed has. And what are you going to do? Go and sell like your really good Chaos Legion cards for like $20-$30? That's not going to get you there. That'll get you like 5 packs, you know, instead of like 10, 15, 20 packs for selling your Jotun or whatever like that, or your Almo Cambio. You're going to get like 4 or 5 packs out of them. And it's just not worth it at that point. And I think a lot of people migrate to Wild, and poor Modern will end up being neglected. So that's the one thing that I would love to see change. How many times have I said that this stream? Like, that's one of the one things I'd love to see change, is getting rid of that penalty there that you take for having underleveled cards in a higher match, because I would totally move up to champ if I could right now, if I didn't have to take these penalties, you know. And especially a penalty for going into champ with a 3-star, that's 15% now. Now we're not even talking just 10%, we're talking 15%, and there's no point in even playing any of my Rebellion cards except for the legendaries at that point, right? Very disheartening, but it is what it is. Okay, hey, thanks, moderator Ime. I'm glad you're in here like this. And deleting whatever Gyofdu72 said. Not sure what he said, but thanks for working hard for me, buddy. Appreciate it, my man. Appreciate it. Okay, so now we're going to get on to my number one card that I feel is the most neglected. Now, this is controversial. Is it really neglected? Because its price isn't cheap. You know, so obviously people know of it, but it's just so good. And I've only had to face it one time so far in Diamond. And it was from a champion player who was playing it. This guy is my number one pick for the common and rares. Again, we're just talking about the ones that aren't like known quantities, okay? Like we're not talking about the ones everyone knows about. This guy's my number one pick for the commons and rares, but I think people are sleeping. Wow, he just keeps going back up. So I managed to get him below $1. I saw him at like 50, 60 cents, and then he kept creeping up. And I was like, he'll go down again. He'll go down again. But it looks like he just keeps going up, you know? Like, look how few there are between he hits $1.30. So again, people are starting to pick up on this Silverblade Fighter already. But check him out at 6-star. And that's where I bought into a 6-star here. Check him out at 6-star. Sure, he's only got 2 attack, but he's got 8 armor because of his protect. That armor is void armor. And he activates flank. Now, the number one guy that I've been using with this Silverblade Fighter is, you guessed it, Mantaroth in the 2nd rank. And why is that so good? Because A, he can attack from the 2nd rank with flank. I don't have to go and jump through hoops in order to go and use Possibilius or anything like that, right? And B, he's actually giving Mantaroth even more armor. So his armored strike is hitting even harder. So and he's got a solid body on him, right? You have to imagine that at this, it's actually 8 plus 6. It's actually 14 hit points that he has that you can't take away unless you shatter it, right? Unless you shatter it, the dude's got 14 hit points you have to get through before he's dead. And don't forget as well, Mantaroth repairs. Bardon Smith repairs. This guy's got void armor. You're basically giving him life because of his void armor with the repairs, you know? So Silverblade Fighter, I just find that, and he's only 6. He's only 6 mana. So you can very easily just squeeze him in, be like, front rank Silverblade, 2nd rank Mantaroth, or whatever like that. Or even Bardon Smith in the 2nd rank, and you weapon train the Bardon Smith or something, you know? Like, this is a great card. I guess people aren't really sleeping on him anymore because, I mean, like I said, for a while he was like 60 cents, then 70 cents. And I saw him as high as like $1.20, and then he went down again because I bought mine under $1, and now he's back up to over $1 again. People are catching on, but the Silverblade Fighter, he is tank time right here. Yeah, hey, how's it going, Death Call? Like Birds, Bees, and Trees says, hey, it's time. It's tank time. This guy is just so good, right? Oh, stuff we didn't need to see. Cool. I'm going to go back in the video and I'm going to watch what he actually had to say. Yeah. But there we go. So Silverblade Fighter, he's my number one pick for the commons and rares that I guess, I mean, he's not an unknown quantity anymore. He wouldn't be $1.14. But I mean, guys, get this guy. If you're playing in the leagues that can play him at 6-star, he is worth it, man. He is worth it. Now, I do have 2 honorable mentions that I want to talk about as well. The only reason these guys became honorable mentions is because of the fact that the monk exists, right? If the monk, with its void armor and its heal, didn't exist, these cards would be a lot better. But the 2 honorable mentions I just want to pop out, Chaos Rearguard. Great little guy. When you get him up to the higher levels, like an 8-star or something like that, he's got 6 and 8, and he's got shield. If you're playing in a no-mana match or something like that, good little tank that can sit there and get the beat down and get healed up by like a Murdali Guardian or something like that and be real wall for you to get through. The Chaos Rearguard, he makes an honorable mention. The other honorable mention is the other guy who just got outclassed so much by the monk again. Skyspire Yak. You do have to get the Yak all the way up to 9-star to really see the benefits I'm talking about. But Skyspire Yak, he gets Armored Strike. He's got heal as well. He costs 4. Again, I feel like the Monk is better with its Magic Reflect and its Void than Yak would be. But if Monk didn't exist, and come rotation, when Monk will no longer be an option, Skyspire Yak. There you go. So those are a few bonuses there. And I'll give 1/3 bonus just because I feel like people forget about this guy. And that's a Ulandin Overseer. Just because, I mean, this guy, when you weapon train the Ulandin Overseer, you can go ahead and you can have your guy in the second rank with a melee type weapon training. And your guy in the second rank will be able to use his attacks while also buffing the Overseer and training him. And he's just got such a fat hippo body. Like, he's just got such a fat hippo body that people need to break through. And if you got any kind of healing going on for the fat hippo, let's just take a look here. What's 14 divided by 3? 14 divided by 3 equals, yeah, and he's healing basically 4, sometimes 5 hit points if you can get, oh man, 17. Let's redo it. 17 divided by 3 equals, so he's healing 5, and if you can strengthen him, 18 divided by 3, if you can strengthen him to 18 hit points and give him some healing, you're healing him for 6 a pop. So he just gets a little bit of a nod because he can be weapon trained and he's got a nice little booty on him for those really high mana matches. There you go, guys. So let me know what you think about those cards. Like, do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave me a message. Shoot it up in the comments. Let me know what you thought about this segment. I think that maybe we'll go ahead and we'll talk about maybe even mythics next week or something like that, just so we can go ahead and we can kind of like cover all of our bases and stuff and kind of have chatted about some of the cards that people might be overlooking, like even just hitting Mythic World over here, right? Like putting a Great Porcupine in the back rank where it will have thorns and then amplifying the thorns or something like that, with like Queen Mycelia, which I saw in Discord. Someone was saying, oh, I use Queen Mycelia, and she gives Amplify for the Thorns, and she gives them some armor for some survivability for only 3. That seems like a good combo with the Amplify on the Thorns and him still being a hit for 3 from the back ranks. So we can talk about that kind of stuff too. But if you liked what you saw here, drop me a comment. And yeah, do you agree? Do you disagree? Am I way off with some of these cards? I'd love to know. And until next time here, shoot me a message. Again, it's either Psy. I'm on every Thursday from 9 to 11-ish. It's already almost 11. My gosh. And there's still some other things that I want to cover. Hopefully we'll be able to get through some stuff. So there we go.